Hello, my dearest friends, my dearest beautiful co-creator souls of love and light. This is Nenari, Princess of the Sea, coming to you with a new video. And in this video, this is a next step in the last two videos that I have just recently released. So this is the next step that just seemed to fall into place in the channels that I've been pouring through. And it is interesting how it is mirroring a lot of what I am doing at present in regards to mentoring so many people. And it also is a reflection of my own personal journey with my twin soul. And so this video is going to be a culmination of some personal things as well as more steps upon the twin soul journey with my twin soul. I have had several people who I've been mentoring who the running theme that seems to be coming up is a fear of commitment and a fear of intimacy. I've had two women that I've done sessions with just recently in which this has come up, and we have shifted these layers. Someone who is near and dear to my life, who I consider my spiritual daughter, has dealt with some of these fear of intimacy issues as of recently, and then also my own twin soul. And so to recap on a few things to actually bring light to some things, because a lot of you have been asking me in letters about what has been going on in the last year and a half to 2 years of the twin soul journey, and I have said bits and pieces of it in my videos, but I have not really delved into where our path is right now between my twin soul and I. And what it really has come down to is this core of fear of commitment for him, because I had wondered why, especially recently, things were coming up again and again over and over, and he was bringing up issues, of things that had happened long ago, and going back to the core essence of when we began our journey almost 7.5 years ago, and lashing out at me, and for the last 3.5 years pretty consistently, with the exception of a few times when I have slipped back into my own sense of fear and ego and whatnot. I've been rather consistent in holding him in compassion and love through all of his fears, and providing that safe and comfortable and nurturing environment for him to be able to commit to me. And I wondered why this was coming up again and again. And it sparked the inspiration for this video, but then I've also had many people who have come to me. And so we're going to delve deeply into what this fear of intimacy and fear of commitment is all about. And so it has a lot to do with the last two videos that I have done. And what is at the core issue of fear of commitment and fear of intimacy? One of those core issues has to do with most souls that are here on this earth really deeply want to do the honorable and decent thing, and be committed and be intimate and be raw and vulnerable and real and from the heart. It's just that their insecurities and fears and false beliefs that have been created about love and commitment and intimacy, and that deep sense of inadequacy that they feel, has them have a hard time committing. Sometimes it's a fear of rejection and abandonment that keeps playing itself over and over again, and so then a lashing out occurs in order to avoid commitment or avoid intimacy, as a preemptive strike to alleviate that anxiety that occurs because they ultimately feel that they'll be disappointed by being left. And so what tends to happen is that you end up building yourself into a prison. It's an emotional prison, a spiritual prison, a prison of your own vibration, thoughts, and thought processes. And then there comes a point where you just really wish to be free, but you are free from understanding or knowing how. And so I'm going to delve into this video and speak more about this to help you to find the how. Because for me, I sat in a sense of frustration in just recently saying to my twin soul, I have done everything and been everything to be this sense of safeness, this sense of comfortableness, this sense of nurturing environment for him to feel safe to commit to me. And yet no matter what I do, no matter how much I be love, no matter how much I be free in saying even that, hey, we don't even have to have a commitment, let's just, let things be as they are and be in that flow. For whatever reason, he still was feeling triggered about that. And there was all sorts of reasons having to do with core essences of trust. And one of the things that he said to me several months ago is that he really didn't trust women. And that the reason that he didn't trust women had to do with what happened between him and his former wife. That she was the one who taught him how to not trust women because of the things that she did. And so I immediately had written back to him what was channeling through me in that moment, and I had realized, and this is a core essence to share with you all who are sitting in that place of feeling that you're afraid to commit or afraid to be in intimacy because you don't trust men or you don't trust women. It's really free from being that you don't trust men or trust women, as it was for my twin soul. It wasn't that he didn't trust women, it was that he didn't trust himself. And so he was utilizing the fact that he was afraid of commitment because of things that his former wife and other women in his life had done to him as a means of a distraction and seeing that instead of seeing me. And so it didn't matter, even if it was the right woman, if I did everything. I went back 7 years, and I went back to the very beginning of our connection, in which the first time we had done a song together in the sense of co-creating on a soulful level when we did the song I Am We Are. And I never claimed to have co-written that with him. I was holding space and holding energy, and I never wanted to claim co-writing it with him. Yet because of that sense of betrayal that he felt in his former wife taking the intellectual property rights away from him of his music and his music school all those years ago, he felt betrayed. And so he was seeing through the lens of what she had done or what other women had done, and wasn't standing in the presence and seeing who I really was. And that I'm not his former wife, and I'm not all these other women. And so he was free from seeing me. And so this is what has actually caused all of the issues that I've spoken about in the Twin Soul series of our path thus far between us, because it created this thought process within him that, oh, I'm all these other women, and he operated out of that. And so then he accused me of things like stalking him, or claiming that we're in a relationship when we're not, and all of these things that a man who's afraid of commitment would do. And so when I had this huge realization, I had come to realize that, even if I would have done everything perfect the way he wanted, it would not have mattered. So then I was left with the question of, well, then what is it? What is it that is having him in such fear of commitment? Or what is it that has people that I've been mentoring in such fear of commitment or such fear of intimacy? And it is at the core essence of it, not only do we not trust ourselves, we are abandoning ourselves. We are coming from a place of fear of intimacy because you are not loving you. And so what tends to happen is that those who are afraid of commitment or afraid of intimacy anything you fear, really. You will do, say, or experience anything to distract yourself from delving into such fears, which is really you free from delving into you. So you will have distractions or addictions or obsessions, such as your own thought processes building up like my twin soul did about me, which really wasn't about me. It was about all of these other women and all of these other situations and whatnot that he thought I was doing. And so you develop these thought processes about yourself or about others. Distractions like overusing the internet or watching TV just to veg, or shopping or porn or alcohol or drugs, or delving into Illuminati stuff or government this or that, or Monsanto marches. All of this stuff that's outside of you. Anything, and you do it over and over and over again, anything to avoid facing yourself and going within. See, for me, I can actually watch an Illuminati video of David Icke or whatnot from a observer point of view. Just watching it and observing and saying, oh, this is interesting how this person is having this perspective, without getting emotionally charged, and seeing it from a perspective of that and taking from it what I'm meant to learn from it without embodying it and freaking out and going down that rabbit hole. Whereas my twin soul, off and on over the last 1.5 years, 2 years in particular, has really gone down that rabbit hole, and he's talked about things like, oh, you have to expose the Illuminati and whatnot, rather than exposing the hurt wounds within himself. Now, there is a Rumi quote, and knowing that my twin soul is Rumi in that life, there is a Rumi quote in which Rumi speaks about this. And I thought it was very appropriate for this video, and so I figured I would share it with you. And it says this: yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I'm wise, and so I am changing myself. And so observing something is one thing, and observing is something that happens on a one-time thing. So we notice when we are feeling sad, we notice when we are feeling angry, we notice Illuminati stuff, we notice what is quote-unquote wrong with the world. But by the same token, we are free from delving into it again and again and again, because all we do is then feed the wolf of that programming. And so when we're in that space of fear, when it comes to rejecting ourselves, we then do this with the thought processes that keep us from being in that place of intimacy or commitment with someone else. And we use it as a self-defense mechanism, or a trigger, or a way in which we push people away because of this fear. And so we are not seeing that person that we love, or that person we want to be intimate with, or that person that we want to commit to. We are seeing all the other men or women who have hurt us. And I know this because I've gone through this in my own life. I was raped at 15. I was sexually assaulted by my former husband. I was emotionally abused, financially abused in my marriage. I was physically abused as a child. So I went through all of these things. And so anytime I was in a situation, I for a long time did this. And this is why I'm able to recognize this so much. And so when you are actually able to stand before yourself and be intimate with you and be committed to you. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is loving yourself in all your horribleness. See, often one of the reasons why that we are so afraid of being committed to someone, or being afraid to be intimate with someone, is we're afraid of showing someone our horribleness, showing all sides of us when we can be horrible. because we feel that we're not going to be loved, that we're not going to be accepted, because we've been taught from a very young age that it's not okay to be bad, that there's something wrong with us. And so we started rejecting ourselves and abandoning ourselves at a very young age. And so then we go into connections, heart connections, and relationships, and soulmates, and near twins, and twin soul dynamics, and all these heart divine connections with people. And then we project that out. And we forget to be present in the moment. So I'm asking you and inviting you, can you actually be with yourself? Fully and intimately get naked with yourself. Now you can do this physically as well and explore your body. And I'm not talking about masturbation. I'm talking about lovingly touching yourself. There is things like Chinetsan, which is a abdominal massage in which you can release all these wounds that are within you, because we hold this emotional body stuff within our bodies, in our solar plexus region and in our root chakras. So we can get intimate with our yoni or intimate with our lingam and just massage that, not in a means of masturbation, but in a means of actually loving ourselves and releasing that energy physically. But it's also about getting naked with your soul, getting naked and being intimate with you, and loving all those places physically. Like, let's say if you don't like your butt, for instance. I personally, there's spots on my butt that I don't like. I have a little in my middle still from having 4 children. But I still love that. I love the perfection and the imperfection. And here's the reason why. At the core essence of this core of abandonment, this fear of intimacy, this fear of commitment, is that fear that no one will love us and accept us for who we are. So when we love and accept ourselves, we are to love and accept ourselves as love, God, Source, the Master Artist sees us. So one of the things that I had said to my twin soul when he was lashing out at me and giving me all the list of reasons why he could not be with me and why we're not in a relationship and why he would never be with me because I said and did things that, you know, in his eyes, this is the way he sees it, because he was coming from that place of, you know, fear and pain and angst, was I said to him, that being in the soul is free from holding on to these things and using it against someone and repeatedly destroying another by saying such over and over and over again. And I asked him, does God do such to me? Does love do such? No. God or love, Source, Master Artist, loves me no matter what mistakes I make. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, God doesn't hold it against me. And so I'm asking you and inviting you to do the same thing for you. Can you be intimate with you and love you as God loves you? Can you see the little parts of your butt that you don't like, or the little bit of cellulite you have in your middle, or overgrown skin because of losing weight so much, like myself, that you have from having children? Can you see all the mistakes you've made in the things that you've done that you perceive as wrong? Can you see them in the eyes of God? That God loves you, because God doesn't see any mistakes. God sees those mistakes as beautiful and sees you as beautiful, just as you are. All the mistakes, all of your horribleness, all the times that you've lashed out, all the times you've been bad, all the times you've said those things that you regret saying. God still loves you, and God still wants to be with you. Can you be with you, and can you vision the man or woman that you love being with you and still loving you? Because no matter what my twin soul has said, no matter what he's done, no matter how he's acted, I still love him. I still cherish him. I still honor him. I still respect him. I still want to be with him. I don't say to him, well, I won't be with you because you did this or you did that or you acted this way or that way. I love him as God loves him. I see him as that. For when I see my twin soul, I see God. Why? Because I see myself that way. I truly love myself as God, Source, the Master Artist sees me, in all of my imperfections. So because I am able to love myself this way, I am able to love my twin soul and all this way. And this is what we are being asked to do and be in each moment with one another. Instead of looking from the lens of our fear of commitment or fear of intimacy, where we are creating a process that is based upon past situations or a fear in the future of those past situations happening again, which is not that person that's before you that you love. We are being invited to see that person as they are, as God, Source, the Master Artist, love itself, right here, right now, in this moment. All of their imperfections, seeing them as I am perfection, and loving them just like we would see ourselves that way, because that's how Source sees us. So when we can be in the present moment and see the one we love, truly see them, this is when the fear of commitment and fear of intimacy goes away, because then you are seeing them as anew. God always says, I make things all anew. I make all anew. This is how this is anew, because you are seeing them over and over and over again then, as if you've just met them for the first time, as if you've just seen a flower. When you first see a rose, I know for me, when I see a rose, it's the most beautiful thing in the world to me. And that's how I see my twin soul every moment in the present moment. I see him as the troubadour, my beloved sweet troubadour, the most amazing man and soul with a heart of gold. I see him as Source itself, love itself. And I see that again and again. And that's the key to falling in love and being in love, is falling into that resonance. And in that resonance, there is no fear of intimacy. There is no fear of commitment. All there is just love. And so naturally, you want to be with that person and be intimate, because you're already intimate and committed within you in that way. And then you can stand in the presence in the present moment and see that person. And it's a practice of doing this, being conscious and doing this and being this again and again and again, practicing that vibration, that thought process, rather than the other stuff. And in that, you create your own safe, loving environment of oxytocin-ness. See, oxytocin, as I've said before in my videos, is the bonding chemical that bonds us mothers to our children, but it's also what we utilize to bond our souls to one another. It brings about connection, it brings about love, it brings about calmness and centeredness. It's technically considered a stress hormone, but it really isn't, because what it does is it calls you to bond with another and bond within you. And so when you feel comfortable enough within your own skin, and you feel intimate enough with your own soul, and you can be real, raw, vulnerable, and from the heart within you, you with you, and you with Source, and you seeing you as Source sees you, then it becomes natural that you're then no longer afraid of intimacy. You're no longer afraid of commitment. You just naturally feel committed. You feel naturally wanting to be intimate with another because you're already intimate within. So you have the choice in each moment. Are you going to repeat the same programming over and over and over again of distractions and thought processes and abandoning and rejecting yourself in being in those fears and feeding that? Or are you going to choose love? Are you going to choose to love you and be intimate with you? There was a video that my twin soul watched recently that I had the opportunity to watch as I saw it on his YouTube feed that he liked it. And this man was so incredibly beautiful. And I'll provide the link here to it so that you can watch it. And he talks about choosing fear or love in constantly saying things negatively that creates your reality. And he talks about soothing fears, as I've talked about in my 2 recent videos here. When you soothe those fears by love, he talks about how we're to do that instead of posting harmful things on Facebook or delving into Illuminati and exposing that. Instead, he shared in vulnerability about his breakup that he's just gone through with his wife. And he was sharing it from a real sense of real, raw vulnerableness from the heart. And he was sharing. And every time the person who was interviewing him tried to get him to delve down the rabbit hole of fear and darkness and whatever, he would acknowledge it, that it exists. So I'm not saying stick your head in the sand and don't acknowledge these things. It's just be free from delving down the rabbit hole of saying it over and over again, repeating that story. It's telling a new story, creating a new story, a new vision for your life. And so he shared real, raw, and vulnerable and from the heart what he was going through from his breakup. And he also shared how he's utilizing it to help him and to help all. And it was just so incredibly beautiful how every time this interviewer tried to turn him into the negative, dark aspects of things, he acknowledged that that was there. Yet he always turned it around into love and into light and utilizing it for the higher purpose, for the benefit of all. Because it's not just what you speak it to yourself and to others, it's how you speak it. Because when we're coming from our intuition, from our soul, we are in that resonance of love. And when we speak from love, in compassion, that's when we really change. And that's why, if you notice, all of my videos have been real, raw, and vulnerable from the heart. Because in that, I give you permission to open up and to be real, raw, and vulnerable from the heart, so that you can be intimate with you. You can get naked with you and be committed to you. For once you be this is how you then feel safe and comfortable. And this is how I came to understand that it wasn't anything that I was meant to do or meant to be. That yes, I'm meant to provide that safe comfortableness, letting my twin soul know that he is safe and comfortable to be committed to me and be intimate with me and be real, raw, and vulnerable from the heart, because I have always shared with him that that's when he is his best. And yet at the same moment, it wasn't up to me to do anything. I wasn't responsible for his transformation. He's responsible for his transformation. And only when he becomes intimate within him and committed within him and loving himself within him, then he'll just naturally, from the inwellingness of his heart, then commit to me. And then he will see that everything that's happened over the last 7 years came from that place of that fear of commitment. And that never have I really ever claimed to co-write songs with him. That I've only been there holding space and love for it to come through him, and then we share in that together. And how beautiful that co-creation is. And I never wanted rights to him or it. I love him, not the music, in the sense of wanting intellectual property rights. And I just recently wrote him a letter saying, do you need me to go notarize this? I will do so, because I don't care what Canadian law says. If you want it all, you can have it all. I don't care if we get in a relationship and get married, if Canadian law says that, we split it in half or whatever it is. If you want it all, you can have it all. It doesn't matter to me, because it's of the universe and for the universe. I don't own anything. It comes through me, as me, from source, from God itself. And I did a video on YouTube several years ago about this called Wishes, and it was at the Wishing Well. And I talked about how we don't own anything. So for me, it's just the joy and the love of co-creating and touching the world and helping the world to heal into this love and sharing that with him. And so for me, I've created that commitment-free essence in the sense of him feeling safe and comfortable, just like the You Are Safe video that I did, which I'll leave the link for as well in this video description. As you feel safe and comfortable within you and get intimate within you and love your horribleness, your magnificence, your downside, and be okay with it. I'm okay being mad in this moment. I just don't stay in that resonance. I feel it full out and then release it and come back into love. And as you do that, then you just naturally feel committed and wanting to commit to another. Not from a sense of wantingness, but from a sense of inner calling of your heart, of your intuition, of your desire to naturally be in harmony with the universe, with you, and with the one that you love. So my dearest, beautiful friends, my co-creator souls of love and light, I give to you this gift. May you come to be intimate within you by all things, as my dear friend Sunny says, and I'll leave the link to his beautiful song. He just released his album, and I want to give kudos to him. He's an amazing soul. This man has a degenerative disease, and he has not allowed that to stop his fear, because he has no fear. He doesn't resonate in the F word of fear, because he forgets all of that and rises. And he created a new album and got stem cell therapy, and he is doing amazing good. And his beautiful song, he talks about that. He says in the song, may I be intimate within me and within all things. And it's such a beautiful song, and even now it makes me unwell in tears of love. May I be intimate with all that I am. And his song, By All Things, and his other song, Child of the Universe, which is not on his new album, but those are my two favorite songs in his music. His message touches me very deeply in my heart and my soul, to the core of me, and brings me to such tears of love, because it's such a reminder of who I am, of who we all are. And so I honor you, Sunny, and thank you for your new album, Involution, Looking Within. So please listen to his song, By All Things, and may you be intimate with you May you be intimate with all things, with everyone. May you come into the resonance of committing to you, to Source, to love itself, and then to the one that calls to your heart and heart connection. May you be love now, for this is who you are. I love you all deeply. Espavo.